Welcome to Discuss on Discord, thanks to Lenovo Legion. This is a video series where I get to chat to interesting people working in the video games industry, and today I am talking to Kori Hallows. Good to see you, Kori.
It's wonderful to see you too, Steph. How are you?
I'm really good. Kori, I wanted to say that something that I've come to realize when I've been working on this series is that I kind of thought that I was alone in that I had a kind of unique path through the games industry that covers a few different areas. But everyone I've interviewed for this series seems to have similarly interesting journeys that cover a lot of ground. So you are an experienced esports caster. You do some TV presenting as well. We both work together on the wrap up. You live stream games and most recently started working at Twitch here in Australia, which is all pretty incredible. Have I left anything out?
No, you've definitely ticked it all off, and it does sound like a lot actually hearing it in a list like that, which is kind of insane.
It's really impressive.
Thank you.
Do you mind kind of starting at the beginning for me and telling me, I guess, how you got into working in video games, and I suppose if it's something that you actively pursued or if you kind of just fell into it?
It's a really interesting one because I think the passion was always there at a young age, but whether I sought it or not, I think it was just different moments in my life and just different kind of opportunities that made themselves available. So I guess, fresh out of school, didn't know what I wanted to do, knew that I loved computers, knew that I wanted to do something in gaming, but not really into that whole game design kind of aspect, which is I think where everyone kind of gets funneled into when you're like, oh, I like games, they're like, go make games. I'm like, there has to be more, right? So I did an IT degree, and then I realized I hated IT. I did not want to do anything related to that field. Studied marketing, and that I suppose kind of opened up the opportunity or the idea of being like, hey, what if I worked marketing these video games that I love? That's a skill set that I could kind of work towards. Fast forward, doing marketing for an agency, doing digital marketing and enjoying it, but again, just on the side, just constantly playing games. I had a friend who was just like, you should commentate, your voice is amazing, you present so well, it's such a waste, do you want to commentate with me? We're looking for another co-caster. And I was always just like, nah, I just like playing games, I'm not interested. So it just kind of took, I guess, a few more years for me to realize, hey, now that he's doing it, he's really successful, he's made a career out of this. It's something really close to games. It's better than just marketing games. This could be almost the next step. And then so I was like, okay, I will give this commentating thing a try. Worst case, I hate it, never have to do it again, all good. So I put my hand up for a community tournament, and that's where I suppose the esports side was really born. I actually found out that yes, I did love commentating. This friend all those years ago, I should have listened to him, taken his advice. I loved it. I really, really did. And then that kind of meant that I could start to really explore a closer pathway into games, because it wasn't just I was marketing games now and then. Because I was an agency, I wasn't working directly for a video game publisher. It still meant that maybe the chances weren't really there. But this was a lot closer, a lot more tangible. I had a lot of friends in the community. It still wasn't enough to go full time with. That was always kind of the idea. But then a lot of commentators, as you see, what they do on the side is they do the streaming. That's where that kind of came into place. I love commentating, but it's also very stressful. There's a lot of work that goes into it. It's also very competitive, which I think we'll cover.
It's also it's a difficult kind of, industry to area of the industry to break into. People say that it can be quite cliquey. It's about who you know, and yeah. I suppose, as you said, the work can be a little bit sporadic. Do you feel like it's maybe gets a bit gatekeepy at times, or what's your sort of take on that?
I think as long as you put in the work and you know that you're good, you want to get so good that no one can ignore you. That's the best case scenario. I think commentating's the same. You really want to build your skill set to if you're not included in an event, people are why is this person not there? This person would bring so much depth, so much knowledge, such a great skill. You can't get gatekept in a way because the community is kind of just rallying for you. You just get so good that you can't be ignored. But I do know what people are talking about. It can be cliquey, and a lot of that is just because of the competitive nature of it. There's only a limited amount of slots. Australia is always a smaller region, so we usually only get one big event, and they might just need two of the talent, right? And you're competing against hundreds of people.
And it's hard, I suppose, because there's a lot of casters that wouldn't be able to necessarily work across a lot of different games. We tend to see sort of casters specializing in one game and just, casting when that game has tournaments. So it'd be difficult to land, I suppose, really pursue a career where you're just casting for all of these different games and be as well versed in each of them.
Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. And I think in Australia, you diversify, so you have a better chance of getting picked up for one of those more international events. So instead of focusing on just Valorant, I focus on FPS. Instead of focusing on League of Legends, I focus on MOBAs. Instead of Fortnite, I do Battle Royales. I think you'll see Australians, we really diversify ourselves for that very reason. But then again, that means that we're competing against not just your own local pool, but even say like the NA region, which often gets grouped with us because we're all English speaking. So you're competing with all of the NA casters as well, which then is where I'm saying it's like hundreds of people. It's not just like your Australian community, maybe like, 10 or so people. It's like hundreds.
And is it like a difficult job to get good at? I imagine when you're kind of starting, there's a lot of practicing in your bedroom that happens. Like, how do you get to do you just literally, did you turn up and just try on the spot, or were you did you practice at home?
I feel bad because I suppose I had a little bit of a leg up in that the presentation side was definitely there. The speaking side was definitely there. For me, the homework really came through like VOD reviews, through learning the players, through watching the players scrim, finding their VODs, finding out who to contact a lot of the time for this, like coaches, players. Like, I'm kind of shy, so trying to reach out to players sometimes was just like a nightmare in itself. Just being like, hi, I'd like to ask you some questions about your team. I'm just like, oh God, the stress. But yeah,
it's cool that you take that initiative though. That's really awesome.
You have to though, and that's what I mean. Like, that's the homework side of it. But yeah, a lot of the practice is just in your room commentating. Something that I hated was VOD reviews of yourself. So after you'd done a cast, you go back, you listen to yourself. I hated that so much. I don't miss those days. But yeah, you would actually just be like, oh, I rushed too much here. I could have taken a breath. I was actually dominating the conversation too much. I really should have tossed back to my partner some more. You just make those notes and you try to improve for next time.
And so you kind of realized that maybe casting full-time wasn't going to be something that was ever going to be sort of viable for you, and you started streaming on Twitch. What was that like for you, I suppose, initially when you first started streaming on Twitch? How did you kind of get started, and what sort of games were you streaming?
I don't actually know what pivoted me into getting started. I think it was just my husband, who was boyfriend at the time, just being like, hey, you should stream. And I'm like, I'm like, no one's going to want to watch me. I feel like a lot of people get their start into streaming like that. And it was just kind of the same thing, just giving it a go. And I found that people came. People wanted to watch. That was the most surprising part. And it was just fun. It was really social. But I did have that idea when my first year streaming being like, hey, is this it? Is this what I want to do full time? And again, very quickly I realized, no. I think I'm more picky. So I feel like maybe your mileage may vary. Like, someone might just be like, commentating, I know that's what I want to do. I will stick with it. For me, it was kind of like, I did it. I enjoyed it. Would I want to move internationally for it? Maybe if I was younger, yeah, and the opportunity came up. Who knows, right? But that opportunity didn't come, so I just kind of pivoted. Streaming, same thing, tried to do full-time, and I was just like, I actually hate trying to do this full-time. It takes the enjoyment out, it takes the socializing out. I don't want to try and keep, like, a super tight schedule.
Yeah.
But it was more just like that hobby, that passion side project I started to find out. But I really had to test it out and experience and see what worked.
Well, I noticed as well that you recently kind of went through a big rebranding, so that you're not streaming really as yourself anymore, but you kind of rebranded as a VTuber. Do you want to describe what that is for people who aren't aware?
Absolutely. I think it's becoming more and more mainstream, which is kind of cool to see. And there's often a joke in the VTuber community. There was like a tag going around, like hashtag VTuber uprising. I'm like, it is happening. I'm seeing more and more virtual streamers. The reason it's called VTuber is because it actually started in Japan on YouTube. And it was just like a virtual YouTuber. That's what it gets abbreviated into. It's where you use a digital avatar to represent yourself. It's kind of appealing for people that still want to have a presence on stream, but not necessarily reveal themselves, because it can be a humanoid avatar. It could be like a cat girl. It could be a dog. I've seen some kind of ridiculous ones. Like people often joke that, I think his name was like Markiplier, or I don't know. The guy who did the annoying orange, I don't know who he was. That's a VTuber apparently.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right? Because it's just like, you've got the lips, you've got the expressions, and even though it's an orange, like that kind of qualifies as a VTuber, which was just really funny to me when someone said that.
Well, Twitch has been such a creative place for people to do interesting things, even just with animation and different kind of characters and stuff. Some people, they still show their face on camera, but they don't stream as themselves. They stream as kind of a character that they've created, so that whenever they're on screen, they are that person, and people come to love them as that person. And I mean, that's such a huge commitment, but I also kind of see the appeal, especially if you don't feel like you particularly want to be entertaining as yourself. You can kind of have an alter ego to
you can make a character. Absolutely.
Not do the work for you, but like represent you in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's what I love about it. The creativity that's offered me. I feel like it's also ignited a different spark in terms of streaming, because you get to be more creative. You have more like creativity and things that like I'd be like, I would never do this if I was actually on camp. But I'm like, now that I have an avatar to help me, like, give me that confidence, I will do this. My VTuber is actually just me, but I guess like maybe just a little bit enhanced. But I know people do play characters, like they are like, I am a cute little cat girl maid, or I am a super lewd dragon. And I'm like, like I love it, right? Like people just embrace the fun side of their personalities, and they can really just amp it up into something that's really entertaining for a show.
And so what made you decide to become a VTuber, and do you ever like miss streaming as yourself, or do you find it's given you more freedom?
I love that question. What actually drew me to it was, I suppose, when Western streamers made it quite mainstream. So there was, it was Pokimane when she decided to make herself into a VTuber, and I was like, okay, what is this? Because I had kind of seen it, but I never really understood it, because I had seen like bits and pieces of like the idol ones from Japan. And then Lily Pichu did it, and then I was just like, okay, like there is something here. And then I did a little bit more research into it, and I was like, you're telling me I could be an adorable little anime girl, and I'm like, and I still get the same expressions, my voice, my personality, but I get like a cool virtual avatar. Like I've always loved dress up. I've always spent like hours in character creation for any game. To me, this was that on like steroids, it felt like. Like you get that character and you get to bring it to life. That was just the draw card that sucked me in completely.
Totally. And it's so funny because I feel like gaming culture and even internet culture to a degree has always been grounded in the idea of a screen name and an avatar. We never really represented ourselves. And then I think social media kind of changed that. Suddenly we all had to represent ourselves again, more kind of, I want to say authentically, but social media doesn't really give an authentic representation of anyone, really.
Just the best part of yourself. Just the best highlights of yourself.
Yeah. But it kind of makes sense when I think about it from the perspective of streaming on Twitch and video games and stuff, to have an avatar. And I was wondering as well if you kind of retained the same audience, or if you attracted a new crowd, or if it's a mix, like were people disappointed but they didn't get to see your face anymore?
Oh yeah, like I mean, I didn't get to answer the question they asked before. Like, do I miss streaming with a face cam? At first, a little bit, but now I don't think I'd bring it back unless it was like for a special occasion or something like that. It's not just because like, yeah, I get to stream in my pajamas. Like that's a big benefit. But it's also just like the pressure just isn't there. I find like I used to find myself just always like doing that body comparison or face comparison. Just being like, I'm not pretty enough. Like these girls are so pretty. They've always got their shit together. They've got makeup on. And I'm just like struggling to like arrive to my stream on time. And you just felt like it just was never enough. I don't have that anymore. Like I've started to like just be happy with who I am and just focus on myself out of stream, which I think has been like a positive thing. But viewership wise, yeah, there's people that hate it, that thought it was weird. I actually it was a little bit disheartening at first. Like I almost wanted to quit it very early into doing it, because it was a little bit, it was like almost like a divide, I would say. Some people were just like, right, I just don't like it. It's weird. It's got your voice, but it's freaky. The tracking was a bit janky as well because I was still learning the software and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah. So the software tracks your eyes. Does it track when your mouth is open and stuff as well? Yes.
So it'll track you speaking. It'll track your eyes, your eyebrows. They've always done features as well. Like now you can even like be cheeky and be like poke out your tongue and stuff like that, which I think is cute. But like
yeah,
it's
frequent
quite
updates
expressive.
to the software is there to make it kind of like
more realistic. Yeah, more realistic, more human, I suppose. Because again, you just want to be able to express yourself. That's a big draw card of it, because it is a digital avatar, but there's a human behind it. It's still a person. It's very personable, but I still do get some members coming in and they're just like, I don't like it. I hate it. When's your face cam going to come on? And I just had to address it. I was just like, I do things to make me happy. I understand that maybe this isn't for you, and I understand if you want to leave. But then it also showed me like who the real ones were, who are the people in your community that are like, I'm just happy as long as the stream is happy, and I may not 100% agree with it, but I still want to support this person. Those ones, I swear, I get moist eyes thinking of like those viewers. Again, it's just like so sweet. It doesn't have to appeal to everyone, but they understand that you do these things for you. And I've actually just met so many more amazing people because of the community.
The VTuber community.
Yeah, it's got a really, really big community, and a lot of VTubers support other VTubers, and the community can be quite passionate. So just to meet so many new people, that in itself felt like a big bonus. All of the positives, I feel, outweighed the negatives in the end.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making a decision for a reason that makes you more comfortable, I feel like, you know, people who care about you would want to support that. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think the strangest thing, I suppose, as well, was some of the comments, especially being a woman, like, you kind of get it, but they're just like, wow, you're so pretty. I really just wish I could see your real pretty face, though, behind the camera. And I'm just like, oh, the cringe. I'm just like, oh no. Again, that's why I had all those, like, I'm not pretty enough, or all these, like, sort of things. It's just like, you don't need to say that, right?
It's true. It's a lot of pressure. And there's something about it being in your own home as well, having to like put on makeup and look a certain way when you're in your house at night is kind of weird. I feel like I sort of do the bare minimum now, so I don't feel like I have to like put on a show for anyone in a massive way.
but you still do the bare minimum. Like, I could not imagine
if
like,
I don't,
even doing this tonight, like I still have to put some stuff on, right?
And if I don't wear makeup, I feel like I have to qualify it. Like, I'll put it in my stream title. I'll be like, hey, I'm not wearing makeup. I feel a bit gross. Sorry.
Yes.
But I'm here.
People will be like, you look tired. And you're like, ugh.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. That's really interesting. And I guess when you, so when you started Twitch streaming, you kind of saw it initially as a career path, and then you kind of realized that full-time streaming wasn't for you.
Yeah.
And then you kind of segued into working for Twitch. How did that come about?
Twitch approached me in October-ish, I think it was, and they were like, hey, we've got like a part-time position available, kind of similar to what you're doing with Legacy. So you'd be working with partners though, not just partners and affiliates. And I was like, okay. I mean, the good thing about my Legacy job was that it was casual. So I could kind of do like 2 jobs / 2.5 jobs because I was still doing the commentating as well. And then I worked with the guys for 3 months, so from October onwards. Then in January, a full-time position became available, so I chatted to Legacy and was just kind of like, I do want to do something full-time. I'm at that point now where I really do value the stability. Esports for me has been fun and all, but it'll always just kind of be a side thing. Streaming is kind of the same. I'm like, I just want stability now. And then, yeah, so I accepted the position with Twitch and I left Legacy. As I said, they're in good hands now though, but it was very sad because I really did like working with them. And because I was working as a stream manager, I feel like that's what helped get me noticed by Twitch and getting approached by them, and then got the position as a partnerships associate.
Yeah, so you're a partner associate for Twitch ANZ. What does that role involve, and what's your kind of day-to-day like when you're sort of doing that job?
Yeah, easy. A lot of it is like account management is the easiest way to kind of describe it. So we get given like a bunch of partners that we are in charge of looking after, but also things like any new partners coming in, we have to manage their applications, try to sort through them, make sure that they meet the requirements. There's just a lot of other stuff as well. Like, I actually still get to do some esports stuff. We have these things called streamer battles, which are like, we get a bunch of ANZ creators together, and then we kind of put them together in some sort of like fun party game. The one that we did earlier was this game called Ultimate Chicken Horse, which is crazy fun. I really recommend checking it out. And then, yeah, so like I had to organize all of that. And it was funny because I feel like if I didn't have that esports background, I would have no idea what to do. But like, you know, you're contacting like the game publishers, you're contacting your participants, you need to contact your production company. We used ESL for this one. And then just like make sure that the broadcast could be up to scratch. But because I had that background, like I could help manage that. But you're kind of wearing a bunch of different hats. Like, I don't know what the next day is going to bring because there's just so much different work to do. And there's so much different work that partners can have done for them, because as you already kind of mentioned, streaming has taken on so many forms. It's not just gaming anymore. A lot of it's also entertainment based.
And do you find that like you have to do a certain amount of like, I suppose, support for new streamers and people kind of figuring things out or running into problems and trouble? I can't imagine, there must be so many partners now, even so just many in the ANZ region, who are all kind of coming to this for the first time, and they're like, great, I've made partner, now what? Please help me.
I am glad that you said that, because for the longest time in ANZ, we only just had the two. It was just Lewis and Elson trying to do it all themselves. Then myself, I joined this year full time. And then we also have Nicole. Her online name is Nicole Lepiche, and she's amazing. She comes with a wealth of knowledge in that agency scene and the talent management kind of scene. And then, so between us all, that's kind of the idea now. We're trying to really just make sure that we have a clear path from like when a new partner joins to here is like what you can do, here is who you can contact, here's what we can do for you. It's just managing that process, because especially when COVID happened, a lot of people lost their jobs, lost their income, and streaming was kind of the only way that they could kind of have any form of income. And so, we've just seen partners just explode. Like, it's always been still like a small percentage, but just in general.
And so how have you seen the kind of Twitch community change over the years since you've been involved as a streamer, I guess, and now I suppose working at it from the other side? What excites you most about the kinds of content creators that you've seen? And I imagine you must see so many different people. Like Twitch is such a big and vast universe, and I feel like I haven't even seen a small percentage of what's out there in terms of what people are doing.
There's just so much content, but I guess what makes me really excited is the VTubing, like to see that that's really taken an uprising, or like V-streamers, I suppose, if they're on Twitch. That in itself has really excited me. I know, so for instance, some of the other members of my team are more passionate about like the beauty and lifestyle. Others are more passionate about like music. For me, it's just anything that has like a bit of a gimmick. I really like people on Twitch that have like a show, like, you go into it and there's like some sort of a hook or some sort of like something that you don't see on Twitch. Like one is a study with me stream that I've seen, a partner where they do all their studying on stream. It's kind of like a collective thing. They set a timer, they do their study, then they have like the chill out time with chat. I thought that was wild. I loved the idea.
And are they kind of like audibly studying? Like, are they saying...
They're studying, like,
are they studying out loud, or are they just like quietly just like writing?
Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's out loud, depending on what type of study needs to be done. But I was just so interested.
I feel like a big part of what makes this series great is that people are always asking how they can kind of break into the industry, and it feels like there's no kind of one way to do it. And I feel like each of the roles you've had has kind of informed the one that you've done after it.
It really has. It did. It fed into it. Like, it seems a little bit random, but they all led to where I am today. And they all let me experience different parts of like this big, big umbrella that is gaming, which I think is kind of pretty cool. I'm very fortunate in that sense. And I know I'm very fortunate in that sense.
I feel like it's just never worth locking yourself into one thing. And what's sort of in store for you in future? Do you see yourself at Twitch like long term? Would you ever go back into casting, or do you have any other like specific dreams or ambitions, or are you just kind of like, we'll see what happens?
I think we'll see what happens, but I'm definitely really happy and wanting to learn more at Twitch. Like I said, each day is just kind of challenging me. I am keen to see like what this chapter kind of brings. It's given me stability in my life. I do have a soft spot for commentating, but it is definitely less stressful and more enjoyable to be a spectator instead of having to worry about the commentating. And it's in good hands. Like, the next generation of casters are unbelievably talented, unbelievably passionate. And I think that was also a big call. I actually made the decision to retire earlier in the year. Like, you may see me still do some hosting, but I'm not going to really be doing any more commentating gigs unless it's like for casual events. And again, it's just I don't have the time to do that research on teams, and I don't want to withhold any opportunities from people that I know are so passionate, and they are going to be the ones that make it hopefully overseas and can do it full time.
That's a really good way to look at it too. I love that.
Yeah.
Kori, it's been so great to talk to you, honestly. Like, every time we talk, I feel like I come away with it feeling like energized and amazing. You have such a positive attitude and outlook on life. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steph. I love our chats together. And like I said, I love your life hacks that you're always teaching me. So I know you're here for it. you're amazing in that sense. So
Oh, awesome. And thanks so much to Lenovo Legion as well for sponsoring the series. You can check out the Legion range of gaming gear via the link in the description below. Thank you so much, Kori.
thanks, Steph. Bye.